So it means if there is any issue, there is any confusion, there is any mistake has been done in the documentation, they will say it out. Okay, so here the objective of the meeting is to decide if the review object has meet the requirement, exactly like what all the stakeholders said, and also the documentation is complies according to the standard given, and if there is any defect so that we can fix it. Okay, so the final result given by the review leader or the chairperson is a recommendation either to accept the document, it means no issue, everything is okay, or to fix the document based on the comments given, or totally to rewrite the document. It means if the document is totally cannot be used, a lot of issues, then the author of the document must rewrite the document. So if you see, during the review meeting, the reviewers will be voicing out their opinion except the author. The one who prepared the document will be just there accepting the comments given. They must not argue. Okay, so this argument can be the problem. So that's why the chairperson must be someone who is having the experience, who has the knowledge to handle the meeting, to handle all these people. Okay, and another important thing is, because I have more than one reviewers, right? Reviewers among them also can have issues, can have argument. So they also must agree with what the chairperson recommended. Okay, so this will be what happened on the actual review meeting. Because we have a very fixed time, we want to make sure everything is completed. That's why reviewers will go through the individual preparation earlier, before they come for the meeting. Not during the meeting time, they are busy reading the document. Okay, so once we're done with the review meeting, the next one will be rework. So now the review leader or the moderator has actually give the recommendation of what need to be done. Okay, but the project manager will be the one decide how to do the action. It means can the project affected if we do some changes now, or we going to have like a limitation of the resources or limitation of the time. So the manager will be the one decide whether the team or the authors can follow the recommendation exactly what they say, or to do something else. So it means according to the recommendation to do something else which is suitable to be applicable to be as a fixing, or whatever changes need to be done. Okay, so according to the decision made by the manager, the author who actually produced the document will work on the document. Okay, so depend on the recommendation given. Is it to remove, or is it to rework, or is it like totally do something new now? So the author will be the one doing it. So this rework is actually involves the project manager and also the author. Okay, then the last process will be the follow-up. So follow up here, the project manager or the chairperson just now, the review leader or the moderator, or anyone who is assigned will be doing the follow up to check whatever has been done by the author is okay or not. So it means the correction of the defect or the new documents or something, okay, need to be followed up by this person, either manager, moderator, or the review leader, or anyone else who is suitable to check on the rework has been done. So if the result from the first review is acceptable. Okay, the rework has been done, everything is okay. Now the review has been successfully done. So let's assume if the result of the first review is not really efficiently work, so they will schedule for another round of review. So it means they will call for a second round of the review. So this will be how the sixth process of the review work. The planning, the kickoff, individual preparation, review meeting, rework, and follow up. And this must follow the correct sequence. Planning must be done first, followed by the kickoff, followed by the individual preparation, followed by the review meeting, rework, and the last one will be follow up. Okay, clear? Clear how this six process work? Any question? Okay, should be clear. Okay, that will be the sixth process under the review. Okay, so let's see the types of the review. Okay, so we have code review, desk checking, pair programming, walkthrough, or we call it as a code walkthrough, technical review, and inspection, formal inspection. Let me put. Okay, so if you see here, just now I have said that it can be a informal review, it can be a semi-formal review, or it can be 100% formal. Okay, so if you see, according to this level, like what I have mentioned just now, are we doing it yourself? Are we doing it in a pair? Or are we doing it like in a big group of people? Are we involving with the different department of people? Or are we involving with the client? So according to that, this level of formal can be decided. So normally informal means when it's only individual work, individual checking, or maybe in a two or three people's checking, or it is something like in a very early stage where we don't have something formal to bring all these people in yet. So normally it will be at the informal level. Then when something is getting bigger and bigger, much more complex, then maybe we can have a semi level. Then when something is more, maybe something much more complex level, or something more technical wise or risk wise, then we can involve with more people, and then it will be much more formal. So actually the flow here showing from the informal one until the formal one. So here this will be the most formal one. So code review, desk checking, pair programming, this is considered informal level. Then we have code walkthrough, which is a bit formal, which is like semi-formal. Then we move to technical review inspection, which is the most formal one. Okay. So let's see one by one. It is something like something general thing which we already know. Like, okay, if we do this, then we need to check. If we do this code, then we need to check the code. If we have this document, we need to do the checking on the document. So something general. But there is some things which we still need to see what is one by one. So the first one is the code review. So code review normally we will evaluate on the code structure, just the structure. We don't have the code. We are not running the code here. We are not executing the code here. We just evaluate the code structure together with the testing team, or maybe one tester who is representing the team. So our concern here is we want to make sure that we use the right standard, the right procedures before we will start to do the coding. So it means the developers, the testers, they are checking on this code structure so that what they develop able to be tested later. Okay, so this is actually the objective where we want to ensure the consistency in the programming, especially when a team of developers are working, not one person. So let's assume five different people of with the they have the same programming knowledge, but different way, different style, different logical understanding. So how we want to make sure that all these five programmers work must be consistent, must be compliant to the standard. How well will be the quality, how they are putting the comments in the source code. All this is very important. So they do the code review on the code structure, how the code will be developed later. So this is something under the informal review category, because we don't have anything yet to make it formal. Okay. Then the next one is desk checking. So desk checking is normally known as a primary testing on the code. So the same thing, we are not doing any compilation be with the compiler. So normally we will do the desk checking or the static checking before the actual compilation or execution of the code done. So it means developers check their own code. So if there is any errors, it means the developer, when they do the coding, they did a mistake. Remember, error means human error. So they actually check and then correct it. So it means like you are developing your code, you just go through the code, you are checking the code. That means you check your own code, referring to your own desk, then you will actually correct. So since it is your individual work, you start the code and then you are checking yourself, and then if you made any errors, you fix it yourself. You don't need to make it as a formal meeting, formal reporting to inform the entire team what mistake you have done, because it is not affecting anything yet, because it is still your individual work. We did not combine anything yet, so we don't need to make it formal yet. Okay, so normally the code will be checked according to the design and also the requirement, if this is what exactly the client said or not. So you do your own work checking. So this is still under the informal level. Then the next one is the pair programming. I believe all of you have heard this pair programming, where two programmers share a workstation. Okay, so it means you are I mean, like, there is a one workstation, and then you and also another colleague. So two programmers share the development. Okay, so this normally one person to write and one person to test. So the one who is writing the code will be known as a driver. The one who is reviewing the code will be called as a navigator. So this role will be exchanged. After some times it will be exchanged. Maybe you will be checking the code, your friend will be doing the code. So this is actually under the idea of extreme programming methodology. The reason why they come up with the pair programming. Is it easy for you to find your own mistake, or is it easy to find someone else's mistake? Which one is easier to do? To blame yourself or to blame someone else? Sincere answer. Which one is easy to do? Is it easy for you to find out your own mistake? Okay, that is having problem in the quality side. So it means we did not do the code review accordingly. That's why that confusing can happen. Okay, but normally, if you refer back to our chapter 1, Remember the level of independence of the testing. So when a programmer tests their own code, they can identify the mistake they made, but it might not be as easy compared to someone else identify their mistake. Like for example, you have your programming class, right? So you do the code, and you when you compile, you identify something, and you are really looking what is the problem, where it is. But suddenly you call your lecturer come and can find out easily. Do you understand? So sometimes different people, different level of knowledge, experience, when two people work together, it actually can improve the development of the code and also the viewing of the code. So that's why this pair programming come in. Sometimes what we missed out, no matter how we like inform the programmer, you must comply to this standard, you must use this way, don't do like this and this. Some people cannot follow instruction. So when this did not really give effective result, then at least during this time it can be helpful. So companies, they need to decide which techniques they actually want to use, which one is actually can be suitable, can be efficient for them. Because um, not every company want to apply all these techniques, because they might concern about, oh, we don't have time, so we can just do this, we cannot do this. So in that case, pair programming can be much more efficient compared to individually doing the desk checking. Okay, so this is also can be said as informal, because when the reviewer, or sorry, when the navigator identify any issue, you will fix it between you two. So you don't need to like call for a meeting to inform that, like, oh, this programmer, he did this mistake and I find it out. You don't need to go and report it, nobody is bothered about it. So it will be still under the informal. Okay, then we have this code walkthrough. So code walkthrough is actually start with less formal. So it means we have one single meeting. So we don't call frequent meeting, but we will have at least one single meeting. So that's why it is less formal, but it is actually a bit formal compared to the previous one. Because that informal one means totally informal. We don't even have meeting. Like the three technique just now, no meeting at all. But this one, because we have one single meeting, so we call it as a lot less formal, okay, or semi-formal. Okay, so what will happen here is we will do the code walkthrough. So we will evaluate the software where we want to identify any defects, and we want to improve the quality of the software, and also it means the source code. So if there is any alternative logical things which we can apply. And most of the time when we say about quality, it means did we follow the requirement, did we follow the standard which is we must follow, or which is given by the client. That is what we always concern about. So this single meeting normally will be involved with the tester, one tester, and the programmers, the group of the programmers who is actually part of the development. So here we don't execute the source code. It means we don't use any compiler to execute the source code. We don't have any test case to do the execution of the testing also. Okay, so we only use a draft of paper test case. It means like, okay, based on this function, okay, how we actually have uh, like the data or the test actions, the steps, what we expect to see. So we use like a paper test case. Okay, and each test case will be mentally executed, okay, based on the logic which given by the programmers. So we actually try to do the mentally executed to see if this function can be tested and if it's actually can give what they expect by the client. So this is a one single meeting code walkthrough will be conducted. Okay, so the balance two actually will be the most formal one. So the technical review will be a team of qualified personnel. So this is more to technical, means involved with the technology, involved with the hardware, with the tools, with the software. So it will be a review conducted with a team of qualified people, okay, where they actually do the checking on the suitability or the compatibility of the software against to the standard, against to the specification given by the clients, so that when the system is being developed, there will be no issue on the technical area. So it means, okay, this device is suitable to work, to be implemented in the system, for example. Okay, then we have the formal inspection, which is the last one or the most formal one, where the inspection will be conducted with a group of people. It means it involves the domain knowledge person, it will involve with the designer of the system, the author of the system, the moderator, and so on. Okay, depends with how the company decide who must be in the formal inspection. Okay, so normally the programmer will be describing the program logic. So it means they will read statement by statement. Okay, according to this requirement, this is how the logic of the program work. Okay, so according to that description, question will be raised up. So for example, maybe some logic is like not make sense at all, this is not going to workable, this is not going to be efficient. So comments, questions will be raised up during the formal inspection, and also they will produce a checklist, okay, like a list of items what they need to uh, check during the inspection to see if there is any fault or any defect. So they will analyze according to that. Okay, since it's a formal one, they will produce a report, and this will be having a follow up after the rework done. Okay, and also normally they will check on the defect in the logical wise in the code, and if there is any mistake done by the programmer, and if there is any non-compliance with the standard happen. Okay, other than that, they also check on the quality, okay, the development quality or the assessment quality. So the data will be recorded, so they will collect the data so that they can actually do the rework, and the collected data will be analyzed to check. So when they do the follow up, or because since it's a most formal inspection, few meetings can be happen, not only one time. So in the next meeting, they actually try to compare the data with the previously collected data to see if the improvement has been done accordingly or not. So if it can bring better changes or not. So this can actually helpful in detecting the defects and to avoid any terrible impact can happen later. Okay, so this will be the 6 different type of review, from the informal one, and then move to a less formal one, and then move to the most formal one. Okay, so it's always depend with the company if they're able to do all or if they're able to do few of it. So it's depend. Okay, okay, got it, clear, can understand the difference, why it is less formal, why it's most formal, why it's totally not formal. So normally it's depend with what we are working on, how many people involved, okay, what are the area we are checking. So all this is actually deciding either it's under which category or which level of the review. Okay, clear? So far so good? Everyone okay? Any question? Any question? Okay. So I have discussed this review part, okay, what we have discussed just now, the process, and then different types of the review. So the next one is the static analysis. If you see this static analysis, right, it's still under the static level of the testing, but here we do with the support of a tool. Please do remember that during this static analysis, still the same concept where we are not executing the source code. We are not running the source code to see if the code is working or not, because that one is dynamic. And this static test, static analysis, review, all these we do without that activity. So here the static analysis means we want to find the defect in the document or in the source code with the support of a tools. So for example, like just now, we said about checking the review, checking the SRS, checking the SDD. Till we can manage it with the human capability. But when it comes to like maybe thousands of line of code, source code now, we are developing a source code now. So we want to check hundreds of line of code, 1,000 of line of code. It might not be as easy for the human to do manually. So that's why we need a support of a tool. So for example, we want to check certain, like hundreds pages of document. So we can use a spelling checker, for example. So we have a certain code. We want to see if all the syntax has been correctly done. So we can use a compiler. And also we have a static analysis tool which can check the standard has been correctly followed or not. So if you see all these tools, they are not being used to check if the code is working correctly to produce the output, because we are not checking the functionality, but we are actually checking if the code has been analyzed to know either the code is written correctly, the code has been following the proper standard. For example, Java programming. Okay, what is the standard supposed should be? If we use all the naming convention correctly, if we have any problem the way we declare something, you know. So sometimes we as a human being, by just look at the screen, by just reading the line by line, 100 line, we become blur already. We don't know what we are actually looking for. So that's why we can use the help of static analysis tool to help us to analyze the source code. So the reason why we want to analyze, we want to see if the way of the code has been written is not okay. It means efficient wise is not okay. Something can cause much more negative impact after maybe few months the code has been running, or few years after the code is working. So we want to make sure that whatever violation, whatever fault, whatever things we can improve in the source code, we can do it now. So normally when we said we want to do static analysis, we don't do on the completed code because it is too complicated. We only do maybe, okay, let's check on this classes file, is all the classes file has been done correctly or not. So let's see this function, is it correctly working according correctly written according to the classes file? Can it be tally or not? So we have this static analysis tool. You can Google it. So static analysis tool that